program, I did not enjoy the work environment at the 2 law offices that I was assigned to for my internship of my senior year of high school. It seemed boring and mundane. I decided after high school graduation that maybe being a lawyer wasn't for me. However, I did not have a true career or major path that I wanted to pursue, so I decided to attend the local community college and try to figure stuff out. For the most part, community college for me was a depressing time. I wasn't making any lasting relationships or networking opportunities. I worked low-paying jobs, and I didn't care for the classes that I was taking, with the exception of macro and microeconomics. I also suffered from chronic low back pain from work-related and old sports injuries, insomnia, and depression. The only thing that kept me going was the love me and my girlfriend Janine shared. I tried taking the business major courses, but I didn't like them. I took educational courses to prepare for a career in education, but I didn't like those either. Then I took my first college-level natural science class, biology, with Dr. Ray at Palm Beach State College. The class was interesting. It was challenging. It was different than any other class I had taken before. Suddenly, I found my calling. I was going to major in biology. It was also around this time that I discovered the healing art of chiropractic. The chiropractor that I saw was helping me with my low back pain, insomnia, and depression, not only with adjustments, but with nutritional counseling and corrective exercises. I noticed the more I was getting out of pain, the better I could sleep and the less depressed I felt. I realized that with moving properly and eating better, I became less dependent on his adjustments to get me out of pain. He told me that it was chiropractic. It's truly about the promotion of health and being less dependent on doctors for being healthy. I decided then I was going to major in biology and eventually get my doctorate and become a chiropractor. The question on some of your minds might be, what did becoming a biology major and becoming a chiropractor have anything to do with my correct political stances? Well, if you had to ask that question, then you still don't realize that we are a sum of all of our experiences. In the words of Lauryn Hill, everything is everything. I attended FAU from 2008 to 2010 in order to finish my biology degree. It was during this period of my life that I grew up and became a responsible adult. The 2008 election was the first election I voted in, and I voted all Democrat. Can you blame me? The country went through 8 mind-numbingly terrible years with Bush. President Obama had just been elected. I was very happy about that. However, I didn't have the time to follow what his administration was doing in the months after he was inaugurated. The coursework was extremely rigorous, and at that time I worked 30 hours a week. I would spend all day at campus studying and trying to get work done before my shift, which began at night. I spent my days during the week trying to stay caffeinated enough to stay awake and having a functional brain in order to perform the high level of understanding and comprehension needed in order to pass the classes that I was taking. With the demands of work, school, and the pressures of trying to provide for my newborn daughter, I had no free time to truly stay informed about politics, let alone even have a good time or a party once in a while. Why did I vote all Democrat in 2008? Well, let's see. From 2000 to the year 2008, President Bush in a majority Republican House and Senate pretty much annihilated the Fourth Amendment with the Patriot Act, got us involved with questionable wars, and oversaw a huge crash of the stock market that decimated the economy. In my mind, the Republican Party was never to be trusted with the keys to the country again. In addition, President Obama made promises in his initial campaign to reform healthcare, to make it more affordable and accessible, and to get us out of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, to help build back the economy. These promises are important, so take note of them and remember them for later in this article. These were all causes and initiatives that I supported. However, looking back, I'm not so sure if I was really pro-Democrat or if I was just very anti-Republican. I was able to graduate in 2010. I worked full-time for a year as a telemarketer after college. I was really good at the job. I got promoted twice in a few months. The pay was pretty good, and despite all that, I did not want to continue going on as a telemarketer. I wasn't sure when I was going to start chiropractic school, but I decided sooner rather than later was the right option.
Okay, so we're just going to stop right there because we're running out of time here. But again, you can find the article online on our website, which is talkfreedom.webs.com, and I'll read the full article there. And what we're going to do is go ahead and bring Dr. Pomante on the line so he can just go ahead and discuss his article as well as his views in everything politics. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Dr. Richard Pomante.
All right, hold on. Mr. Richard Pomante, you are on live air.
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, guys?
Hey, welcome, Dr. Pomante. How you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Robert, how's it going? Joe, how you doing, man?
Very good, thank you.
All right, so we were just going over your article here, reading it live on air. I don't know if you got to catch it, but very great stuff, obviously. Weren't able to go over the entire article, but as I mentioned to all of our listeners that they can find it online. Again, that's talkfreedom.webs.com, where they can read the entire article by Dr. Pomante and the Doctor's Corner session. But we just wanted to go ahead and talk to you and get a little bit more insight into your awakening from the current status quo as is here in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. The article was meant to just kind of show how my own personal thoughts evolved throughout my life. So I used to be a Democrat, but now I'm rehabilitated. You know,
Rehabilitated. Now, what?
Yeah.
Let's say that some of our listeners out there are really stuck in their party, and you being the Democrat background, me being the Republican background, I could best appeal to them. But you as a Democrat, what do you want to say, or how would you say it to our Democratic listeners?
That's good, Joe. Well, I would say that if you are a believer in the Democratic Party's platform, which, you know, like if we were to go back, you know, if we were to say, they like to increase taxes, but they also stand for social issues, and you know, that's their quote unquote platform, you know, that they run on. You know, they may not actually practice it, but a lot of Democrats claim to be anti-war, but you know, when you look at it, our Democratic current president now is very pro-war. So basically, the wool's being pulled over their eyes, you know.
Well, Mr.
And they need to realize that. Huh?
Well, Mr. Pomante, you know, Bush did the same thing.
With yeah, you're getting.
I'm devil's advocate for a reason.
Yeah, I know. They love to say that. They love to say the whole. But Bush got us into that and all this stuff. Well, no, sorry. I mean, you can't sit there and campaign about how you're going to pull the troops out of Iraq and pull the troops out of Afghanistan and then say that you're not going to attack certain countries and then do something different. All right, you now see the people that say that though, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I don't think they pay attention because I can't explain it any other way. They either don't pay attention or they just make excuses. I don't know. I'm perplexed by it, but so what do you think?
I personally tend to lean towards the fact that like you just said, it's excuses. It's excuses based on pride. You know,
correct.
I mean, bottom line is anyone who defends the current administration against the former administration does so because it's their guy. Just like Republicans do the same thing, where they will criticize or they'll back rather the Republican candidate who's doing the same thing as say a Democrat would do because it's their guy. It's all of a sudden the blinders go on, and now it's all okay because hey, it's my guy, and they ignore they blindly ignore all the facts. And again, it's just
right.
Because, like we've discussed before, people are filled with pride and they don't want to. Nobody wants to admit when they're wrong. Unfortunately, we live in a country, in a nation where nobody is mature enough to admit that when they were wrong, and just kind of move on. It's I think it's important that we grow up, we act like adults, admit that we're wrong, because until we do that, until we're willing to do that and show a little bit of integrity. And dignity, and be willing to admit as adults that we were wrong. Okay, I made a mistake. Now we can move forward. Until that happens, I really don't see any significant change. Moving forward. Unfortunately, what do you think?
Yeah, there has to be a change in the mindset. That pro-pride thing you touched on is a big thing, because people will defend their stance to the absolute end sometimes, and
regardless of the facts.
Yeah, despite the facts. Yeah, despite the facts, and they'll make up excuses. And I try to touch on that in my article a tad bit. I try to say, I try to give suggestions on how to overcome that. And I basically, what my theory is, if you want to change someone's mindset, you have to be, I guess, a little bit patient. You got to be patient.
Sure.
I guess the message has to be done in a fashion that's non-combative. If you want to really inform and educate people and things like that. But you also have to be persistent too. Like efforts from this show and efforts on Facebook. You can't just let it slide. You have to be a little bit persistent, and you have to sometimes get into uncomfortable conversations with people in order to make that happen. And then also, I love pointing out, there's a lot of documentaries out there that are available now. Social media sharing is just so widespread now that I'm not so negative. It's happening. We have right now a third party that actually is gaining a lot of traction right now, the Libertarian Party, and they seem to take. You know what I'm guys saying, right? They take the good from the Democratic Party and the good from the Republican Party, the traditional platforms, and then now that you have the Libertarians.
Absolutely.
So that's my thing. I feel positive. I think we're moving in the right direction. That's my theory. I think a lot more people are waking up. So.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And you made an excellent point there. You touched on a really excellent point, which is that the best way to really approach this thing is like you said, one, to be very patient. You can't be combative because it's counterproductive. When you're combative with people, automatically they throw up their defenses and they stop listening because they're too busy defending. So that's absolute great point. You definitely, but at the same time, you do have to be persistent. Just kind of nailing the point home, bring up facts over and over again until they're undeniable, overwhelmed with facts, but at the same time being as gentle and as inoffensive as possible, so that there's no reason for anybody to put up that barrier where they're not actually listening to what you have to say. That's the only way that we're going to progress forward and get people to really listen to common sense.
Well, for sure.
I like offending people, so I have a question for you. I'm no CPA, but do Democratic bombs hurt innocent civilians worse than Republican bombs? I'm not a doctor, so I'm very interested to know what your thoughts are.
Right. Yeah, we might have to do a study on that.
I'll say that for another episode.
I shouldn't laugh because it kills me inside what's happening right now with the bombings in Syria and looking on Live Leak at children's bodies strewn about. I wonder where those children's lives come into play, towards freedom. I really do.
They don't. I know you're asking a rhetorical question, but you're right though. I mean, people put on the blinders, man, and I don't know what it is. I think there's just, we got to hit them with some facts that are really earth shattering. For me, what it was was I talked about in the article about how I saw that Obama was making unconstitutional laws. Like I